Good evening, everyone. I now call this February 9th meeting of the Prior Lake Savage Area School Board of Education to order. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance as you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Board members are present tonight, and I believe Director Smith will be joining us virtually. And with a board member attending virtually, all votes will be taken via roll call. Next up on the agenda is Laker Pride. Dr. Thomas?
Thank you, Chair Bullion. Board directors, good to see everyone this evening. Tonight, we are going to talk a little bit about some of our student supports at Glendale Elementary School. As you all know, we've modified some of our support with Achievement and Integration this year to bring on some academic coaches and success specialists. And so tonight, we're going to have Principal Jennifer Molitor, Differentiation Specialist Jen Maloney, Student Support Para Charlene Lazenby, and Tanya Perez Martinez come forward and talk a little bit about some of the work that they're doing in the buildings and some of the impacts that they're starting to see with that.
Good evening, Chair Bullion, Dr. Thomas, members of the board. Slight change, Jen Maloney was unable to attend tonight, so I'm here instead. And also want to welcome Courtney Herder, who is our brand new para in this role at Five Hawks, and she just started. So she's here to just hear about how it's been going so far. So earlier in the year, we were able to get the position a little bit in place earlier at Glendale Elementary, and so it's been up and running a little bit longer. And here tonight, we want to talk to you a little bit about how that's going so far at Glendale and the great work that Charlene is doing there.
Good evening, Board Chair, Board Directors, Dr. Thomas. Thank you so much for letting us be here tonight. It is such a privilege to be able to come and talk about our academic paraeducator position. We're amazing. We were able to start with Charlene right away, close to the beginning of the year. And as a part of this position, our core principle, or core values through this is that through collaboration and collaborative efforts in class support driven by academic achievement data, this role ensures students experience academic gaps, receive targeted assistance during grade level instruction, building mathematical confidence, accelerating growth, and advancing equity by giving every student the opportunity to excel. So some of the things that Charlene does, these are just a few of the things because she is outstanding, is we talk about first in-class partnership. So she works in the classroom, and it's real-time support right during those lessons. She uses questioning to promote the reasoning and the learning, and she maintains very high expectations for all of our students. The second thing that she does is, well, all three of these ladies will be doing, is she works on relationship building. So she builds trust with the students. She bridges the gap with the families and builds those relationships with the families, promotes growth mindset, and increases the sense of belonging for everybody at our school at Glendale. And then the third part is the teacher collaboration. She partners to understand the lesson's goals, reflects on strategies after lessons, and supports an inclusive classroom environment. From the first day Charlene walked in our door, the enthusiasm, the excitement, the wanting to help our students just exuberated out of her. She is amazing. Her outreach to families right away to connect, with students to connect, She helps throughout the school day, but she also is doing tutoring in the morning, and families are bringing their students in to collaborate with her and work with her. Her collaboration with staff is stellar. They are so excited to have her in the classroom to help support the students. And the one-to-one she is able to do has really provided academic growth for all of our students that she has had the opportunity to work with. We are forever grateful and hoping to continue this partnership with her for many, many years to come. So I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to do that, but I also want to give you the opportunity to get to know Charlene because she is a very amazing person.
Hello, good evening, everyone. The in-class, there's 3 tiers. I feel like it's a trifecta. You have the students, you have the teachers, and then you have the parents. And when you have them all together on board, you can do many great things. It's an investment for the greater deed, for the greater good. It really is. And so as it may seem on paper tireless as far as all the things that we do or all the things that we do in a class, but it's all for the benefit to help the teachers, to help the students, and to have that partnership with the parents. I love it when I get emails from parents and they circle in red, "Do not understand this, please explain on Monday." And it's neat. And then I follow up with an email and they're like, did you see what I'm talking about? Oh, I saw it very clearly. Yes, we've got it. But just for them to not have that fear, but also to come and know that I'm a safe place. And the trust factor is so important. If you do not have that relationship with the children, it's not going to produce fruit. And so for me, I just feel like it's just been a blessing from the very beginning. They all have great potential. Some are unlocked early and some it's faster than others, but eventually we'll get there. So some of the messages that from the parents, the feedback is that they're so happy when their children come home, and it's math, and that can be very intimidating. And when the parents are very happy and they hear, "Oh, thank you for helping my child," and it's a collective unit. All 3 of us are doing this, not only at Glendale, but we're also doing this in other schools. And so it's like happy. What's the saying? Happy life, happy wife. It's like happy kids, happy school, happy everything. The other thing I do want to mention is that the confidence level in the children, you can see it. From when I came in November to where we are in February. When I would ask who would like to volunteer, it's like crickets. Now you have kids who are just very quickly trying to come up with the mathematical solution or the equation or the answer. And it's just like, I got it. And it's so neat, it's so encouraging. I know the math is going to get harder, but if they have the confidence, they can overcome so many things. And I think that's about it, unless any of you have any questions.
Board members, anybody have any questions or comments?
I just want to say thanks for, oh, that's really loud.
That's okay.
I just want to say thanks for all the work. It's just, it shows between, the principal coming up and talking about you and the passion that you're up here talking about, that you truly care about our students. And I just want to say thanks.
Well, I want to say in return, thank you for the opportunity to do this, because it's a blessing in disguise. It really is. So thank you very much.
I'll say one thing too, Charlene. It takes me back to a conference that Dr. Thomas and I attended. I think it was a year ago this past summer, and it talked about student success and the direct line to achieving student success is from student to teacher. And in processing with that, it was also, when processing with Dr. Thomas, I said, it's also with the parents. And so I really appreciate the fact that the mindful effort in bringing in families, because we know teachers have our students for many hours a day, and we also know that parents are a child's first and foremost teacher. So having that partnership, I'm just ecstatic to hear about it, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything they want to add?
Just, again, thank you for everything you're doing, and if there's a place we can clone you, that would be great.
We do, we have two of us.
Yeah, thank you all for your efforts.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And it looks like Director Smith has joined us. Dustin, can you hear us? Maybe say hi so we can know we hear you. Hello. Hello. All right, so all votes will be roll call tonight, so moving forward. Superintendent report, Dr. Thomas.
Yes, thank you. Just a couple of things. Want to share that we had our first town hall last week, and I want to thank our community and staff and some of our board members who were in attendance that night. It was a packed house, and I think we had at least 60, if not more, individuals who showed up. And just want to remind folks that we have our next town hall tomorrow, February 10th, 2 to 3, and then another town hall February 25th from 6 to 7. And we are asking for RSVP just to give us a sense of how we split out the room and make accommodations. So people are wondering about that. That's all we're trying to do, is understand how we can best accommodate based upon the turnout, and if we have to do additional rooms, et cetera, and table group assignments for balance. So thank you in advance if you can just give us a quick heads up if that's part of your plans. I would also say last Friday, we had our legislative kickoff with AMSD, and we had many of our elected officials in attendance, superintendents and their leadership teams, board directors from across the state, really talking about some of the key priorities facing K-12 public education here in the state of Minnesota, and also stressed some of our legislative priorities as well at that meeting. Really appreciative of a couple of our representatives locally here who are actually in attendance in person with us, and so thank you for your support. And look forward to the upcoming session, even though it's a policy session, not a budget session. It is absolutely critical. And I think what I've also shared is that at our town halls, that seemed to be a table conversation with a couple of different tables too about legislation and just kind of what's happening here locally, but then what's the bigger conversation at the state as well. And so just this is our opportunity to have that conversation with our locally electeds around the whole entire budget of or K-12 industry. Also, just want to acknowledge that we are into budget/staffing season. I know that every year, every spring, we go through this. We are very mindful that the mathematical exercise and the human support exercise need to go hand in hand, and want to make sure that we put our best foot forward as a leadership team as we are supporting the board with information. I know that there were some questions that came in over the weekend with regards to some of the early conversations that are beginning at some of our school sites to open up some dialogue and start getting prepared for what are some possibilities and things that we can start working through at the site level. And different iterations of that and how it lands and how it's received, et cetera, might take on different interpretations. And I want to own that and acknowledge that we want to make sure that we are doing our best in terms of how we're communicating key messages at key times, for all of our staff. And so we will continue to update our board and our community as well as our staff along this iterative process of working through our final recommendation that will come to the board for action in June. And then I would like to share that Chair Bullion would like to present you with an MSBA certificate. And I'll just read quickly. Minnesota School Boards Association 2026 Directors Award is awarded to Amy Bullion, Prior Lake Savage Area Schools, for successfully earning 100 points from MSBA-sponsored sessions to improve individual performance. So just want to say thank you for your investment in your own knowledge building with MSBA. Yep. And then also, I just want to share that later on in the consent agenda, we have a retirement, and there's a name that a couple of you might recognize in that, and that is Martha Walls, who is an icon in this community and has been a strong backbone in this district for many, many years. And I knew this was coming, and I just can't thank you enough, Martha, for everything that you've done. Not only what I've experienced in this short 4 years with you, but I can only imagine the amount of hearts and lives that you've touched and blessed in this community. So thank you so much for all that you've done, and just letting our community know we will have some formal recognition of Martha, like we typically do with longtime retirees. And you should also know that I will listen to the boss in terms of how that will be structured. So thank you, Martha, and we congratulate you on your retirement. I will pay for what I just did tomorrow morning. I promise you that. So we love you.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm sorry, Chair. That's all for my superintendent's report.
Next up is going to be open forum. This time is set aside to receive citizen input. Citizen input is important to our governance role in serving our students, staff, and community, and we thank you for your engagement with the board. We ask that speakers respect the 3-minute time limit and that you please speak in the manner you prefer being spoken to. Tonight we have one speaker, Kristen King.
Good evening. Let's see. My name is Kristen King. Prior Lake is my home. It has been my entire life, almost. I had this part where I went to college and lived in Burnsville for a while, but here I am, class of '99, went to the old high school, and I happen to work there now. But I'm also a parent of a wonderful little girl who has just joined the class of 2038. And her first time here in this school district has been amazing. Just amazing. I moved back here for her. No, sorry, my daughter gets me that way. Her starting here was a dream. It was awesome. When I left this district, there wasn't a bilingual immersion school. I didn't get to start speaking Spanish until 9th grade. And for her to be able to do that is just amazing. But one of the things that she really enjoys about her school is her library and media specialist time. There was news flying around, and I know nothing is official, but one of the things that I read online was that, as a parent, was that those positions are in danger with our cuts. And to tell you the honest truth, I am not surprised completely, because I've worked in other districts where there was no media specialist, and to come here, it was a gift. It was a gift to have those things for our students. And my daughter is an early reader. She is, just like some people would say all Minnesota children are, exceptional, right? And in so many ways. And one of the things where I felt like she found differentiation was in the library time, because she is a skilled reader coming into school. And I really wanted her to be able to experience what I experienced as a kid with a library media teacher. It's one of the things that I was trying to decide if when I wanted to teach, that I kind of wanted to do that. But seeing programs after programs being cut in other districts, I was super excited that we still had that here. And I know that there are plans to put other things in place that she will probably also enjoy, but I just want to put out there that this is a loss, because she really connected with her media specialist. And I am dreading telling her that that person won't be there next year. She is not going to be happy. They're already moving schools, and they're going to have to move a library, all the books, and there's less people to do it. And I just want you to hear that as a citizen, that is something that will be a loss. She struggled in her, oh, is that the time?
Finished.
Okay, well, she struggled in after her first month of school, and I know that was one of her safe places. And so I just want you to know that that was one of the things that I think needs to be voiced here, is that when when decisions are made like that, it truly affects our students and our families. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. We have a lot to cover tonight, and I want to honor both our work and our time. If any board member, if we need a break, please make a motion to recess so no one misses any discussion. Working together, we'll do our best at being both efficient and productive tonight. So with that, is there a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
So made.
Second.
By Director Johnson, second by Director France, and that we will be taking roll call vote. I'm going to start with you, Director France.
Aye.
Director Olsted.
Aye.
Director Mason. Director Johnson.
Aye.
Director Atkinson.
Aye.
And I, Director Smith. Aye. And that passes 7-0. Next up is the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless board members or citizens request, in which event the item will be removed as a consent agenda item and addressed later on in the agenda. Does anyone have any items that they'd like to remove?
Yes, I would like to pull 10C, the financial report and the forecast for a couple of questions.
10C, and what was the other one?
It has both the monthly financial report and forecast.
Oh, okay, 10C, 1 and 2. Yep, anyone else?
Yes, thank you. I would like to pull B, purchase orders over 25,000 for a quick question, and enrollment, which is 10D1 and 10D2.
Okay, we will take 10B, 10C, and 10D, and the contents under them, and we will move them under new business. Okay. So I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, less items 10B, C, and D.
So made.
By Director Olsted.
Second.
Second by Director France.
Point of order.
Oh, yes, please.
You did not call 11, what was it, 11?
10C, it's 1 and 10.
Oh, it's 10C, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
It all felt-
I apologize, I thought it was a different number. My mistake.
Oh, we're good? Okay, very good. Okay, now help me get back to where I was.
We just have to vote.
We're voting now. We'll start with you, Director
Aye.
Atkinson. Director Johnson?
Aye.
Director Mason? Director Olsted?
Aye.
Director Smith? Director France?
Aye.
And that passes 7-0. Okay. Bear with me. Okay, next up is, per Minnesota State statute, the board may receive for the benefit of the district donations or gifts for any proper purpose and apply the same to the purpose designated. Do I have a motion and a second to accept the $2,000 donation from the Prior Lake Savage Optimist Club for driver's ed financial assistance?
So made.
Second.
And that was Director Atkinson and Director France, if I heard right. And that will go with roll call vote, and I'll start with you, Director France.
Aye.
Director Smith. Dr. Olsted?
Aye.
Director Mason?
Aye.
Director Johnson?
Aye.
And Director Atkinson?
Aye.
And that passes 7-0, and with gratitude to the Prior Lake Optimist Club. Let's see, next up, we have personnel items. And I'll entertain a motion and a second for additional staffing for the co-curricular coach, and we'll get explanation from Director Cothern after.
So made.
Thank you, Director Johnson.
Second.
Director Mason. We'll start the roll call vote with you, Director Atkins. Oh, we're not going to do that. First, we're going to go to you, Director Cothern. Thank you.
Good evening,
all
Chair
these
Bullion
roll
and
calls.
directors, Superintendent Thomas. You guys, there's a couple of them in front of you there. We'll do the first one is the boys 9B soccer coach, and it's due to the continued growth of the boys soccer program. A need has been identified for additional coaching. The Booster Club has agreed to cover the cost, including any applicable taxes and benefits. The team would travel and utilize the same officials as the 9A team, ensuring there are no additional costs to the district.
Okay, any questions or discussion? All right, we will entertain a roll call vote, starting with you, Director Atkinson.
Aye.
Director Johnson.
Aye.
Director Mason.
Aye.
Director Olsted.
Aye.
Director France.
Aye.
And Director Smith. Aye. That passes 7-0.
How about your vote?
Aye.
Okay.
That passes 7-0. Thank you. And then I will entertain a motion and a second for another additional staffing for a co-curricular program
So made.
by Director Johnson,
Second.
second by Director Atkinson.
Mason.
Mason.
Oh, sorry, Director Mason. I knew it was from this side of the room. Thank you. Director Cothern.
Yes, thank you. This is for intramural flag football to be introduced. The district requests approval to offer intramural flag football. The popularity of intramural flag football is growing statewide and is offered at every other school in our conference. A $10,000 grant has been secured from the Vikings to fund flags, uniforms, and related equipment, and any other remaining expenses would be covered by registration fees.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, we'll start with you this time, Director Smith. Aye. Director France.
Aye.
Director Olsted.
Aye.
Director Mason.
Aye.
Director Johnson.
Aye.
Director Atkinson.
Aye.
And aye, that passes 7-0. All right. Next up, in new business, we will go back to item 10B, purchases over $25,000. And I think that was you, Director Atkinson?
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, thank you. So I have a question. There is a charge on the purchase orders over $25,000 for Great Minds Arts and Letters pilot curriculum for $100,000. And my questions, I have a couple questions regarding this, but my first question is it typical for a pilot to charge $100,000 for pilot materials? As I don't recall seeing it when we piloted bridges.
Good evening, Chair Bullion, Board of Directors, Director Atkinson. Thanks for the question. I think it's becoming more typical. So the vendors are now charging for us to use materials in the ways that we're using them in field test.
That's interesting and surprising. I guess I just haven't seen it in the past, so thank you for that. Is this curriculum the one that's being reimbursed by the state, or I thought there was some sort of reimbursement for the, based on the curriculum that we choose, there's, there's mandates, obviously, so.
There are mandates.
Mandates, we use specific curriculum, then we did get some funding for it. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Or- I
and
mean,
I-
I think seeing $100,000 charge for curriculum is a little frightening. So help our community understand the funding behind the READ Act possibly.
Sure, there is some flow-through money the state reimburses us on with implementation of the READ Act. It might not surprise board directors or community members to know that we find that reimbursement ratio insufficient. And so it is a extra burden on districts as they implement mandates that we must meet. But they do provide some reimbursement to offset some of those costs. And of course, Director Ryder can help articulate the specifics of that. But I think it's valid to be surprised. It's accurate to say it's a newer development that vendors are charging for the type of field testing that we like to do. I think we have a robust field test that not every district has. And vendors are keen on making sure that they are charging districts.
So does that fee, just looking back at what some of our other curriculums cost, whether it's Bridges or CPM, does that cost then go against the total cost of the curriculum, or do we have an idea of how much the total, I mean, I might be getting too in the weeds, but I'm just more curious about the 100,000. Does it go then against the purchase price if we were to move forward with this?
Yeah,
or-
it should help us in the long term. In the short term, it's an acute cost that we'd rather expend when we do a full adoption. But since we're having to, since we have the opportunity to field test the way we do, we kind of have to pay as we go. Yeah, I think the materials costs for curriculum are high. Those costs are high, and they're not coming down. Over the last 15 years or so, the shift to digital materials has transform the industry to make sure that they're charging you in these kinds of ways as you go, whereas that didn't used to be the case historically. So, good questions.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions on 10B, purchase orders, we will go to 10C, the monthly financial reports. That was pulled by you, right, Director Mason?
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully just a couple of quick questions. So, I just noticed in the monthly highlights, we have like 5.2 million more in revenue from the previous year, and I think like 580-some-thousand less expenditures, so that's great. But I was just curious, and then I noticed it in the cash flow report too. Is there any like explanation for that, or are we expecting that trend to continue?
Sorry, explanation for the,
Like the additional revenue that we're seeing over the last few months, I guess, several months?
so sometimes it's a matter of the timing of when we draw down for our federal funds.
Okay.
And so I'd have to compare 1 year to the previous to see kind of exactly what that looks like. And then in other cases, it's a matter of the timing of when certain things are completed. So when you're looking at the revenues, when do we reverse the previous year's receivables, And when do we take care of some of that cleanup of the balance sheet? So I can research that a little further. I don't have an answer off the top of my head that would be satisfactory from my perspective.
Okay.
So I would like to understand, again, that was the additional revenue you're seeing in the,
Yeah, in the monthly highlights, I think under revenues, it was highlighting, 5-point-something million additional compared to last year at this time,
yes.
the way I read that. And then also I just noticed it in the cash flow report compared to prior months that we're getting
Okay,
much
thank
more
you.
than-
I can follow up on that and get that out to the board.
Perfect, thank you. And then, I don't know if there's other questions on the other questions I had on the forecast. I think the only changes that we see from the last meeting, you added some revenue for, I assume, the DSC sale? There was like 600,000 in revenue. Was that the only change that was made?
So that addition of revenue was actually a result of a review of our other local revenue, as it had been pointed out that looked low going forward. And upon review, it was more the student activity and athletic local revenues that were understated moving forward, so that correction was made to bring that up by that 634,000.
Okay.
With regard to that change, I felt it was significant enough for the future years to put that in and update the entire packet for that, as well as in preparing for the town hall. There were numbers we wanted to put into a graph form so that people could see the comparison between the three options. And the best way to do that was to not necessarily look at what does it take to keep it at 8%, which is what we did for some of those models, but then to show, what if we just do the 4.1 million in '27, and every year beyond that, we do 3 million, keeping it static across the next 5 years or 4 years, so we can make sure that we understand exactly how then these other options might compare against one another. So with that being included in the town hall as a slide, not in that format, but in a visual graphic form, I wanted to update that as an option too and add that as an appendix. So
Okay,
that was
that's the
another
appendix
change made
3.
to that,
Yeah,
yep.
okay, I was gonna ask, perfect. So you're basically just showing what does it look like if we make $3 million worth of cuts each year?
Yep, so the comparison can be
Going-
made between the three options.
Okay. And so you mentioned the other revenue, but the sale of DSC, we don't have the full 2.6 in here?
You have 2.4 in there because there are fees that we're gonna be charged, so the assumption made is 200,000 will come off the top of that for broker fees and other fees.
I guess I think that kind of goes, thank you, I think that goes towards my original points last meeting around, just like it feels a little misleading on revenues versus cuts, because I think if we reflected that as $2.6 million with additional revenue and then show the expenses as additional expenses, right? Because I think a lot of that 4.1 million that we're showing as adjustment that needs to be made next year are cuts that we've already made. So just want our community to
But
be
those
aware.
cuts are not yet, they are not yet reflected.
Understand
on
they're not
any of those line
reflected.
items.
Right.
Those cuts are instead included in the 4.15.
Right.
Which is undefined at this moment, so therefore, the revenue is above, and the total expenditures are reflected net of the 4.15.
Right.
So therefore, I guess from my perspective, that reduction is included, so I'm struggling with understanding how else it would be presented at this point when we don't know how that's gonna look yet.
Understood. I think feedback from community was, are we having to do $4.1 million worth of additional cuts in addition to the building closure and everything that we've made? But just so that everyone's understanding, it's just not reflected yet.
It is
It's
in
in one
addition-
bucket.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
It is in addition to the revenue received,
Right.
okay? But it does not yet, those cuts, or the savings that would be recognized from the sale of this building are embedded within the 4.15 reductions.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, okay, great, thank
We're
you.
on the same page, thanks.
Thank you. I think that's it.
All right. Any other questions on 10C? We will go to 10D, the enrollment. Director Atkinson?
Yes, thank you. Oh, sorry. So one of the items on our board book was to review enrollment. So I was a little surprised that that this was in the consent agenda, because I wouldn't consider this like a typical item that would be routine in nature, because enrollment drives our budget. And so I think for transparency for our community and for an understanding that enrollment dollars determine how much revenue we're going to get, as well as they correlate to expenses as well, obviously. And so I just thought it would be helpful to go over first of all, the kindergarten enrollment. I was a little surprised to see the drop in the kinders that are enrolled, and would love to, and also I was also surprised to see the 30% of them that are open enrolled of our total enrollment, if I'm understanding that correctly, of our kinders that are enrolled.
Yeah.
And I personally have not really have never gotten really a full understanding of how much revenue an in-district student versus an out-of-district student brings to the district. And so with a higher level of in-district students, how does that impact our budget forecast for this particular year? And then in total, are we looking to redo our forecast based on the fact that our kindergarten enrollment is looking to be much lower, I think, than what you originally projected, and much lower than what we've had in the past?
Okay,
So I know that's a lot, and I'm sorry,
No,
but
that's
I
fine.
just, for me, this is kind of like a red flag when I saw this, and I just
Okay.
was hoping that we would have a little bit more conversation around this, so.
Okay, so let me back up for just a moment and clarify. The student enrollment data that is included under D1, is that not to be, is it the will of the board that this not be included in the consent agenda? Because this has been every month submitted like this.
Oh, no, I understand. When you look at our board agenda, if you look online, we have a board agenda, and there's certain topics that we talk about at certain points of time. And this month was supposed to be an enrollment update, and it wasn't, and I emailed in, and thank you for adding it. I was just a little surprised it got added into the consent agenda. Because I
Okay.
think it's an important topic because it does impact our budget.
Right.
And so there's two pieces of this. Yes, there's the enrollment update, which, based on the loss of students, even in the month of February, I could probably predict what the end of the year enrollment's gonna be. It looks like we're gonna be down about 100 students. So are we adjusting budgets based on our loss of students for the balance of this year?
Okay, I think I understand where we're.
And then there's the kindergarten enrollment, which
Yep,
is more
understood.
next year. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Okay, so, happy to move both enrollment into the other, part of the agenda, if that is the will of the board. I think that, I agree with you, the February update for enrollment is concerning. Anticipated, I would say, just because it is not surprising that when you get into that second semester part of the year, that you will see, it's primarily at the secondary level. And so that's not too surprising. The caution I would give is that there are a number of things that are not final at this point in time. When you see these updates, this is simply the count as of this date and time, right? So as we audit all this data before the final submissions get sent into the state at end of year, that information might look a little bit different, and you may then have things for like the partials for the PSEO or the partials for the students who might be doing some online, but also in-house, right? All of that kind of gets reconciled and tied out once everyone has their data in. So it is an indicator for sure, and it is a concern. We would potentially be looking at, if this is a continued concern, updating our enrollment for the current year's budget, and just checking to see how that impacts the future as well. But I think the concern I have is sometimes these numbers look like they're dropping, but then when it comes in the final, you see that it kind of bumps back up a little. That hasn't been the case last year. So I'm speaking from other districts' experience. However, I can say that those experiences were more possibly related to like targeted services and other types of services that students might receive that then kind of culminates at the end of the year, right? So I hear your concern, and your point is well taken in the fact that that is something to be very watchful of for this year, as well as how it impacts our future. I wouldn't be surprised if we choose to do an update to that budget for that purpose, right? I do think that we would want to review our expenditures compared to budget at that point in time, and just make sure that we have a handle on whether or not we can anticipate that our cash flow that you're seeing is gonna come through like it is anticipated. Again, remember that last June month always encompasses the payoffs for our teacher group, as well as all of the accounts payable and things that come in at the end of the year. So that can shift things quite a bit when you go from cash to accrual basis and make that picture look a lot different too. So it is going to be something to keep an eye on, and I'm happy to move that outside of the consent agenda moving forward. The kindergarten enrollments, this is the time of year that you typically see for the first time. And then we continue this every single meeting after to update, right? At least the business meeting, to update the kindergarten enrollment. So at this moment in time, when we compare 26-27 kindergarten enrollments to the previous year's enrollments, and we just keep adding a row every year, you see as of January 27th that the number in 26-27 was 235. A similar type week in those other years, you would see those other numbers. The open enrollments are listed and the total enrolled. Why are they separated? They're separated at this point in time because we do not necessarily have communication out to everyone as to exactly what sites, so we just kind of keep them separate for now. The fourth column over is the percent of October count. This one is concerning to me in the fact that the average of the 5 years you see below is what was taken for the percentage to apply to the 328 we have total enrolled, which means then that if that's 77% of where we're going to end up, we would only end up at 426. That is very concerning. Because as you see at the top of the header, I'm using 529 in our enrollment. I believe the reason for this is our resident kindergartners are not coming through as quickly as they have in the past, you know, up front, in their enrollments. So we haven't seen them come through as fast as they did in the past. I think that there is conversation among our principals of their reach out and connecting with families too as well. So all of that might shift, and I'd like to just keep an eye on it for the next month and see where that goes. Every single time we show you this, we're gonna add another week, right? And as we do that, you're gonna be able to see, does that percentage improve upon, and how are we coming with that? We have planned for that 529 when budgeting for the number of sections that we would need with that count. So subsequently, that might weigh into some of what happens at the end too, if that number isn't coming through. I would caution, kindergarten's tricky because you can have a lot of registrations that come in the summer months even, and then all of a sudden, there's the hot spots that are needed too. So we just need to kind of wait and see and watch that closely. I do hope that the explanation of what these numbers mean are helpful in the fact that if you look at it and think that the 426 is all we're going to have in the end, we got a problem. I don't believe that's going to be the case though, right?
Right, no, I appreciate that. I think if you look at 100 students, approximately how much revenue? $1.6 million or so? I mean, I think that's important to just keep an eye on it because it does have an impact on our budget. Because at the end of the day, that's our revenue, so.
You also asked the question of the amount of money that students bring to us.
Well, in district versus out of district, I've never really we can offline this or whatever, but I have never really gotten a full understanding or explanation of, I've always been told they're pretty much the same. And you know.
They are since
Yeah.
2015 when they changed the law with regard to how referendum was paid out. And when they shifted that to be, it's based upon your students served. Now, if you're serving those students that are residents or serving those students who are open enrolled, it doesn't matter from a referendum perspective. You are able to receive the dollar amounts we have approved for referendum as total revenue for referendum, and then it gets allocated across our taxpayers.
Okay, thank you.
Any other?
I have a follow-up on that open enrollment too. I'm not sure who can answer, but is this our approach or strategy then to just take as many open enrolled students as we can get right now into our district? I think, you know, we've, at some point in the past, I feel like we've talked about like using it as a tool to fill classrooms, not buildings. So, I mean, you look at 93, you know, there'll be hundreds probably of open enrolled students. That's 4, 5, 6 classrooms at the end of the day. You know, at what point are we, or like, how are we using and looking at that data long-term as far as, you know, we're filling our buildings with open enrolled versus in district, and is that sustainable, I guess?
I don't know if I totally understand your question, but I will say this, and then maybe you can clarify. So open enrollment right now, every year we engage the board around whether or not to regulate open enrollment, and that's not been the case.
Right.
So we don't have a cap, and so yes, right now, as we look at open enrollment, very similar to what we've had to do with the campus reassignment, we will look at strategic places as to where we'll have, you know, if we have lower numbers in a particular section or a classroom, grade level, et cetera, that's how we can determine some of those placements. Open enrollment families who open enroll give us their top 3, but it's our decision at the end of the day. That's just a guide for us. So yes, we strategically look at that as we look at placements to bring balance.
But just even as we're, forecasting or looking at numbers, at what point are we like, oh, do we take this down? So maybe if we do have to close another building, I don't know, I feel like there's that balancing act,
Sure,
right, with it.
yeah.
And so I don't know how do we look at that as a board, I guess, is kind of my question. Or do we need to be looking at that? I don't know.
I don't know.
Like cost versus benefit, right, of, I don't know, just something to think about.
We'll take that as a seed. Anybody else has anything to discuss on that? I think going back to Director Ryder. Oh,
No, go ahead, finish your.
Dustin, sorry. Sorry, Dustin, you just gotta yell.
Sorry, I just wanted to go back to something really quick and just ask a clarifying question. Because it was asked if it was the will of the board to have this pulled out of the consent agenda, and I just want to make sure, I mean, is it the will of the board? Because if it has been in there, I'm happy, but I don't know, so I just wanted to check the temperature on all of us to make sure that it is indeed the will of the board.
Thank you so much, Director Smith. That is exactly where I was headed. If there's anyone else that has any comment on that?
I went back to check, and it's usually in consent. Now, obviously, anybody, and I went back, I didn't go back a year or anything, but I went back to the last couple, and it's been in consent, and obviously, as was done tonight, it can be pulled. But it's usually in consent, and so I'm okay with keeping it there.
I actually,
Can I clarify something?
yeah.
Can I clarify something? I wasn't referring to it being in consent. If you go all and look at our agenda, or, I'm sorry, on our website, there's a tab that talks about school board agenda topics. They're typical things that we cover every month. This month, we were to cover enrollment because it's important to the budget discussions we have going forward. That is the only reason I asked to have it pulled. So I'm fine also with it having it in consent agenda going forward. That was not my intent to have it out as a separate topic every single meeting. So I just want to clarify that.
No, thank you for that clarification, and that, I know the document in which we reference it often in agenda planning, and it is, as noted on the top of the document, it's subject to, changes, but duly noted, and I did learn prior to the meeting that there has been times when enrollment is taken out of consent, and so I think we can test the temperature of the board, the will of the board on having it removed from consenta for this, for the sake of where we are in budget planning. Either way is fine. We will just catch the will of the board, and maybe we can do, we maybe have to do a roll call vote. Roll call thumbs up. So for if we'll do that for.
I'm sorry, what's the ask?
I think getting the temperature, if board directors would prefer that the enrollment report be out of consent for now.
For future agendas?
For future agendas, yep. And subject to, it can go back in. Like I was speaking with Martha prior to the meeting, and Martha said that, in times it has been outside of consent. Sometimes it goes back in depending on where we are in budget planning. So Dr. Thomas, do you have anything to add? Or?
Yeah, I just want to restate what Director Atkinson noted. She's referring to some of the pre-planned meetings that follow on the budget time. So this is part of our discussion that was planned for our February 23rd study session to go deeper. So the request, I think, was to have it pulled out to have that discussion, which was going to be our plan. Having it tonight instead, that's fine. But she wasn't talking about on a regular basis.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I don't think there's a need for a roll call vote on this.
I'm sorry.
But we will be bringing this, when we have the discussion around enrollment, in budget time, it's typically one of the things that we go deeper in as we progress monitor, as Director Ryder alluded to in the questions that Director Atkinson had. So I just wanted to share that, as I don't think I hear the request for.
That is correct. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. I apologize for my misunderstanding on that. So hearing no further discussion on those items pulled, we will move on.
I think you need to vote on those. Do we need to vote on those
Oh,
items?
we need to vote. Now I will take a vote, a roll call vote on the consent agenda items.
Motion to move?
Thank
So
you.
make, or second?
Thank you. Director Olsted and Director Atkinson, and I will start with you, Director Atkinson.
Aye.
Director Johnson?
Aye.
Director Mason?
Aye.
Director Olsted?
Aye.
I am an aye. Director France?
Aye.
And Director Smith? That passes 7-0. Thank you, team. Okay, next up in new business. Next up is the revised LTFM and summer contracts. Director of Operational Services, Dan Powers, will explain, but first, can I get a motion and a second?
So made.
By Director France?
Second?
And a second by Director Olsted. And Director Powers, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. We had some substantial changes from the previous LTFM submitted last year. And these are things that are scheduled to be started this summer, not that would have been last summer's projects. So you'll notice there was the big change from the projects that were completed from last summer. All of those have now dropped off, with the exception of, I'm probably not talking enough into the mic, with the exception of the loading docks, as people have brought up a few times. The reason that the loading dock projects were delayed, we found out, first off, those were numbers that were passed to me, so they were a little bit low. But on top of that, we had to add civil engineering costs on top of there and completely look at the project differently. This wasn't just hiring the local contractor to come in and help us out. I had to go through the formal bid process, which changed all of that greatly. And then the other thing that really changed was our ability to do the lighting in those schools. As an update to that, we had an exclamation point about the lighting problem at Jeffers Pond. We lost half the lights in the gym again because of the power situation. So as I'm looking at replacing all of those LED lights in that school for this summer, I'm also going to be looking at adding a device in line with our power so that we can mitigate some of those power surges coming through, which have been causing us so much problem in that building with lighting. So that's one of the things I'm looking at making sure we do, because I really don't want to add LED into a building if I know I'm going to have continual problems. Were there any questions also about that LTFM update?
I had a couple.
Director Mason?
Yeah, I think around the loading docks and lighting. I mean, yeah, the loading docks are like 855,000 of our LTFM budget, which is a massive amount. I guess my first question was just around, like, I think like 2.5 times the cost we had in like last year's LTFM. Did we get estimates to get to these numbers, or where are they just?
These are current estimates right now.
That we.
The ones before, they were handed to me, so I assumed they got estimates from before, but I honestly don't know. And that's part of the challenge I run into with a lot of the pre-planning that was done. I don't know necessarily where the numbers came from, but as I go up and I question them myself, I'll update those as I find it. So there'll be updates continuously for a lot of those costs. But these were exceptionally more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is the need that great that we need to do all of them at the same time, or is there kind of scale in doing so, or it will be cheaper ultimately, or?
To do them all at one time will be ultimately less expensive for us over the long term. If you were to see the dock at Five Hawks, you'd know this thing's 2 decades past its life. The dock at Glendale is probably the one that's newest, but that's one of the ones that the pitch is wrong on it, so it's freezing and it's going to tear itself apart in the next few years. And we've got a service road beside that one, which should have never been installed. It's creating problems. We had a gentleman drove on the playground. He was confused, and I'm going to eliminate that access road. It's an extreme safety concern at this point.
At which school?
At Glendale. So if you've been down by the loading dock area, it's a problem. So are these things that could be pushed off? I mean, I can push almost any project off, but I would prefer to get them done sooner rather than later. Part of the thing about using, especially with LTFM, one of the things that I have a different approach than a lot of people do. My preference is not to do 100 smaller projects, but to try and get these bigger projects done. That allows us to look at things a little bit differently for some of the smaller ones. You know, is there a different way I can look at funding some of those things? Where these bigger projects, I really don't have another option.
Yeah, I mean, I think on that note too, there were several things removed, like I think the home's pool decking and dive well, and there was a boiler and other things, so.
Those were all projects that were completed for last summer.
Okay.
So
you
when
must
you're
have done
looking
them
at this one,
ahead.
when I say updated, this is an updated version of the projects that would have started this summer. So that's, yeah, I wanted to make sure that you got that part because it's not clear
Right.
in some of the stuff that we've been putting forward.
Right, okay, I think last year they were in the 27 budget.
Correct.
So, okay, we pulled them up, okay. All right, I think that's all I have.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a question, particularly about the loading docks, and I appreciate you giving more explanation about the Glendale. I looked, and that was planned for 2031.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, in our district, given our financial constraints, I think it's about priorities, right? And I'm challenged knowing that we approved this LTFM plan July of last year, so approximately 8 months ago. And the loading docks were projected to be about 300,000. And now we're looking at $855,000 for loading docks.
Correct.
And I just have a hard time. I mean, I was at a school this weekend for a wrestling tournament down in Lakeville, I believe it was. And I looked at their loading dock, and I'm not a loading dock expert, and it was cracked. And I thought, well, wouldn't that be nice to have a new loading dock? There's a lot of nice to haves, and then what I think is really important is what do we need to have? And my concern with these loading docks, doing these loading docks now, you know, Hidden Oaks, $416,000. That's actually the biggest one that I'd love to learn more about why that's a priority, is that we are really driving down our fund balance. And if I'm reading this correctly, it shows we have $209,000 left in our fund balance after all these projects are completed. Is that correct?
I would have to look at the numbers, but that sounds correct.
And that's just frightening. I mean, we could have a boiler go out, or we could have, there's a lot of things that it's just frightening to be doing all these nice-to-have loading dock projects when there are other things that can come up that are important to our, I mean, we've lived through 4 years of things happening that come up, you know what I mean?
So there's three things to look at when we're looking at that. First off is, the LTFM is never meant to carry a balance. We're supposed to spend as we go. And then the balance that we've got there right now is because we actually overspent a couple of years ago. So we put the brakes on all spending for a couple of years. So we ended up with a fund balance. It's never intended to have a fund balance. Is it nice for certain things, like if a boiler goes out? Yes. But that's almost an aside to that. But if we're looking at, the reason I put things at higher priorities versus other things is safety, is almost always safety. So if we're looking at like the loading dock at Glendale, it may look good, but that thing's holding water, it creates an ice rink. It's not pitched right. When they built it wrong.
So it's not the loading dock, but it's the street you're saying,
Oh,
or?
it's the loading dock holds water. And then not on top of that, the dock height is wrong. So we've got, a typical dock height would be 42 inches. This one's too low. They didn't prepare the area correctly when they built it. So what that does is it creates a safety issue when people are unloading and loading the trucks. But on top of that, then we have an area below the loading dock that collects water and creates an ice rink down there as well. Plus, on top of that, we've got that road I mentioned on the side of that, which needs to come out. That's a safety hazard, so having someone come in there. So when I'm looking at priorities is for a lot of these things, safety is right there, almost at the top of my list. So boilers, it's a safety thing, but there again, we're planning on doing, that's why we're doing the boiler at Glendale's, because they're failing right now. Today I went to we were working on the boiler at the Glendale boiler number 1. Had a flame failure. We can't keep it running correctly. So that's why we've got that backup boilers. But those are the types of things I consider the highest priority.
Yeah, understandable. And what about the Hidden Oaks dock replacement for
So there's
400?
a
Because
couple
that's
of them.
half of the cost, the $416,000. And do we have multiple docks at these schools, like?
At Hidden Oaks, no, we have one dock. All three of these locations, it's only one dock. No, we don't have multiple docks at most locations. We've got some locations without loading docks at all. Surprisingly, the dock that used to exist at Twin Oaks was removed with one of the expansions that we had. I would love the chance to revisit that in the future, but it's not going to happen because that replacing it would probably cost us about $500,000. So there's no location that has two docks. The dock at Hidden Oaks, we've got a couple of challenges with that one. There again, the slope is pitched wrong, so it's holding water near the dock, the unload load area. But on top of that, they've got an exhaust area for the sprinkler system. So they've got a port that they use it a couple of times a year to make sure that it's where we drain the sprinkling system and can test it and everything else. It's actually pouring out on top of, or right next to the stairs that go up to there. The stairs are decaying and they're starting to fall apart. So I would, no matter what, need to do something structurally to repair that or replace that stairway. But on top of that, one of the things that we were looking at for Hidden Oaks is we don't have the room for the dumpsters that we need for the kids. So they're constantly moving them in and out of those places and moving them around. Well, in the wintertime, moving a full dumpster, an empty dumpster, a lot of people can move around, but a full dumpster is very challenging. So what we've got people coming out there to go and toss debris in those dumpsters, garbage from the cafeteria or wherever, and that creates a safety concern on top of that just for our custodial staff. But then we've got an area over by the dumpsters that was built for a compactor. Now, compactors make sense at some locations. We've got a compactor at the high school. But at Hidden Oaks, that really doesn't make any sense for a compactor. So originally, when they were looking at the dock replacement for Hidden Oaks, they were looking at adding that compactor into there. So we're looking at, what I'm looking at for Hidden Oaks is actually a slight redesign so that we can have the custodians are not moving dumpsters around, so that it's a much better situation for them to be able to take care of their job without causing a safety concern for them as well. So that's kind of what we're leaning into at Hidden Oaks. I could sit down with individual members if they're interested in looking at the plan changes. It's going to be, it'll be a nice and very long-lasting change that's been needed for a very long time.
Any other comments? Director Johnson?
Yep, so, you guys asked a bulk of my questions. Mine is really kind of what you already led into, that we have kind of taken money from the future to pay for repairs now. Is that what you are doing with the docks, or is that money that we?
Reverse that. We took money in the past.
Got it.
And we had to pay that back.
Roger.
So, no, my planning, actually, Director Ryder, I upgraded you. Director Ryder and I have been working very closely to make sure that we don't get in that position of overspending. There's something in the LTFM you'll see a couple of years down the road that is an absolutely gargantuan expense. I'm looking at over $6 million. So what I'm looking at is actually, instead of spending ahead of not having any projects for that 1 year, to set us up for that year for that large expense. So I'm doing the reverse of what they did a couple of years ago here, which was spending ahead.
Got it.
So that's plan. I prefer to plan that way, because I agree. I'd rather not spend and not have the money and have to worry about where it's coming from.
Yeah, quite a few very large expenses in the years ahead, and I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that we are planning to ultimately keep the plan as close to a plan that you have, obviously understanding that we have random things that pop up.
Oh, for sure, exactly. And as you're looking at the bottom of that, you're going to notice that there's a gradual increase in the amount of money we're going to be able to spend.
Understandable.
There again, it's Director Ryder and I were looking at very carefully. We had to revise. That's why the next couple of years are pitiful. But then we actually start getting into the range where a much more substantial amount of money is going to be available for us to start doing a few different types of projects. And I'll be looking at, I mentioned this last year in the spring and probably a couple other times. I'll constantly be looking at reevaluating what those priorities should be and coming to you guys. And that's one of the things that, as we've got this Finance and Operations Committee, that I'll be making sure and engaging them on as well, because this is my best guess at some of these things, but I really want to have the opinion from other people, because I'm just one guy. So I may miss something, and something else may pop up, and I want to hear about those things.
All right,
Anyone
I appreciate
else?
it.
Director France and, Director France, and then I'll get to you, Director Smith. I saw you.
He's even raising his hand
Yes,
more now.
I saw you.
I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, some of the projects you said that we sped ahead, that was due to the construction also on Fish Point Road, I believe. And so it was just easier to get a lot of that stuff done because the schools were going to be down anyways. And I assume we would be taking advantage of those types of activities, because obviously we did a lot. We pulled a lot ahead that needed to get done no matter what at
No,
20
and you're
minutes,
exactly right.
yeah.
In those rare circumstances, that's one of the reasons we are allowed to
Right.
spend ahead. My hope is that we don't run into those circumstances very often, so that we can maintain these budgets and keep working on these things. But in those circumstances where we can take advantage of stuff like that, yeah, I would definitely be talking with everybody about making sure we take advantage of that.
Director Smith.
Yes, thank you. Director Powers, just, you said that LTFM does not carry a balance, and I know that's something that we talked about even back when I was like a regular citizen. Again, similar to Director France, and just wanting to understand, because I remember, there was a boiler or something at Jeffers Pond, I think, and you kind of pivoted to, because we had one and we were gonna, so you just moved that up because you had it available and you were able to kind of get to that. Again, those are kind of the things that you're looking at, being able to move those things around in real time, even though they might have been something that were there scheduled for the future. You see an opportunity and you're going to take it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what we ran into at Jeffers Pond was unusual even for us. And Director Atkinson's correct in bringing up, that was an emergency situation. We had a boiler go down. I had a boiler that we were going to install in the pool area at Hidden Oaks, and I was able to take it and use it. So I'm very fortunate to be able to do something like that. As we're looking at replacing these boilers, the new high-efficiency ones are so much more reliable. I'm hoping we run into less situations like that, but that's part of the reason that I try not to spend our capital all at once too, is to make sure that we have some money available to do stuff like that. So I want to make sure that I'm really conservative on how I spend my money. I try and make sure that I have something available to do those types of things.
Mm-hmm. Right, correct. But it is your professional opinion and your estimation that the loading docks cannot wait.
My professional opinion would be that the safety that would be provided by doing those loading docks outweighs a lot of other things that we could do right at the moment.
Thank you.
Thank
Can
you
I
for
get
that.
one last clarifying question?
Sure.
When you were reviewing the loading docks, in order to optimize resources, which is part of our strategic plan, is there, what is the room for repairing in order to ensure that safety? Versus when I looked at the RFP, a lot of it is just
Yeah.
redoing, or how should I say? It's almost like, I compare it to replacing a window versus, fixing a latch that the window doesn't work, so we're gonna fix the latch, versus taking out the whole entire window, because it's nice to have a new window.
No,
And,
that's a very good
and
question.
I mean, we hear about the budget cuts, and everybody's feeling the pain of whether it's in our personal lives or in our professional lives, in our community. I just want to ensure that the only way that I can support a vote on this is knowing that we have done everything we can in the last 8 months, knowing that these costs have almost tripled, of optimizing our resources and the fact that we're getting what we need done without doing the nice-to-haves versus the need-to-haves?
Yeah. No, and that's a very good question. So I'll answer that in two different ways. First, I'll talk a little bit about the lighting project. This will lead into that. As we were looking at replacing that lighting, it's a case of there is a product out there that fits in the same space as a tube bulb will. It's very, very expensive. Could we do that as opposed to replacing the actual fixture itself? Yeah, we could. But there's a couple of things that won't work with that type of strategy for that particular project. For other things, it would. For this one in particular, we've got problems with those ballasts and all of those fixtures. We've got a couple other things that are running on. So when you're looking at overall, you're looking at the total cost of ownership, for a better word, for the next 5 years. It would be more than half of the cost of actually replacing the fixture now, the entire fixture, and then pulling it in. So as we're looking at loading docks, it's much the same thing. So could I go and do repairs on a lot of those things? I could, but when those costs in construction, when you're looking at costs exceeding 60% of the cost to completely tear out and replace, that's when you say tear out and replace. That 60% cost thing, that also comes into where you have to have an efficiency change of some type. It has to be better. It can't just be the same. If you're doing and replacing it exactly the same, it doesn't make any sense to spend that much more money to do it. You have to do something that makes it better, safer, better long-term, whatever those things are. But that's the same thing. There's a lot of things in construction that are similar to that. 60 to 75%, that cost of replacement, that's when you start looking or planning on complete replacement.
Anyone else? Well, I thank you for the mindfulness in your planning, and we will go to the vote on the LTFM and the summer contracts. We'll start with you, Director Atkinson.
Nay.
Director Johnson.
Aye.
Director Mason.
Aye.
Director Olsted.
Aye.
Director France.
Aye.
Director Smith.
Aye.
And I am an aye, so that passes 6-1. Thank you. Next up is going to be, I will entertain a motion and a second on the transportation RFP
So made.
Second.
by Director Olsted and Director France. And then I will open that to Director Powers for anything you
Yeah,
wanna
just a couple
share.
of things we wanted to make sure and bring up on this. First off, I want to say that I know we've got a couple of them in attendance tonight too. Our current bus company does a great job for us. They care. They're passionate about what they do. One of the things that we've run into that we flat out missed before, whoever was doing this position, we are required to do these RFPs every 10 years. So we missed on that. This is correcting that side of things. Now, we've talked with, we had a consultant that we talked with to help us with this RFP. We had the lawyers look at the RFP as well. And that's where we end up at this form that it's in right now. Does this give us necessarily everything that we were hoping for? Maybe not, but it allows us to at least start with, this is where the negotiations, if we have contractors aren't necessarily going to meet 100% of our ask, and then we negotiate with them after that point.
Thank you. Any discussion? Director Olsted?
Yeah. Hi, I have a couple of questions. So how long has it been since we've gone out for RFP?
I don't think we've ever done one. We were looking through the records, and Martha didn't remember one either. So I don't think we ever have.
Oh, okay. And if I missed it, my apologies. Is there any room for any kind of talk on electric busing?
So yes and no. I don't think it would be a good ask in the contractor and the RFP that we're looking at. I think it's one of the parts that we could negotiate with or talk to the vendors later on. There's a lot of different things with electric. There was, I don't know who brought it to me, and it might have been you originally.
Probably.
There are a lot of moving parts when you're looking at the converting to the electric.
Yeah.
Some of them, and I talked with the electric company about this too, it depends on capacity. There's a lot of different things that add into that. So no matter who, even our current bus company, we've talked to a couple of times about the types of work we would need to make sure that we could do that. It's a big infrastructure investment. And some of that is reimbursable, some of it not, some of it's got grants, some of it doesn't.
Sure.
It's definitely something that we can talk to whoever about. I think our best chance for electrifying some of our vehicles is with the vans or the smaller buses. But I will continue to do the research on those as well. Every year, guaranteed a couple of companies reach out. Hey, there's some new incentives, and when you dig into them, sometimes they fit, sometimes they don't. A lot of these incentives are built more towards districts that own their fleet versus contracting out, but there's a lot of incentives for just that too. So I plan on continuing that research and continuing discussions with whomever we're working with.
Great, thank you. My last question, do you know of any interest so far? Scratch that, hold on, I had another question. The dates that were in our, I just wanted to double check on the dates. It says on our agenda, it says bid opening scheduled for February 20th.
So that's all been revised, that might be the old one.
Okay, no, I figured. I just wanted to make sure that what I'm looking at in the actual RFP is what I should be looking at versus, okay. Okay, great, thank you.
Anyone else? Director Johnson? Go ahead.
Yeah, so any reason why, as far as the fuel price adjustment, that we wouldn't specify a time frame, say, to get the invoices quarterly or yearly, just to see
That's a
if
good
there
question.
are any savings coming? I'm not accusing anyone of any of that.
Yeah,
But
Just for on the fuel portion of that estimate, or the
that's
RFP? Yeah.
correct. Because
On the-
obviously, if we owe that company more, we would want to be planning or see that. I don't know when the billing, right, that's not
No, that's,
on me,
yeah.
right? But I would want to know that, not drop that one time, and at least understand when that's coming in. And if we're owed anything, I would also want that in the same aspect.
I think that's something that we would probably negotiate with the company when we were
Okay.
talking about that, because that's a good idea. I've never even thought of that. I mean, this is the first time I've seen anything
Sure.
about fuel in any RFP before.
If
Yeah.
I may,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
just to clarify,
Yep.
what you're suggesting is that on, say, a monthly basis, that would be identified, the fuel overage
Okay.
or underage, right? Is that what you're meaning?
Yes, so in here, it just says upon request
Oh, got it.
versus a specific time. If it is monthly, I'm sure maybe there is something within the contract now that says monthly, right? But in here, it just says upon request.
Okay.
So,
So in the RFP, it may say that. What is in the RFP is our ask for things.
got it.
We are gonna wanna make sure that our contract hits the nail as to what we're looking for exactly, and that will
Makes
come
sense.
after we understand exactly what the provider is able to follow through with and do, and it can match up. right?
Understandable. Appreciate your clarification.
Yep.
Thank you. And then one other thing, as far as the security camera system, we control the security camera system, or the bus company does? I don't think I read that anywhere. I definitely may have overlooked that.
So, how much can I say?
Obviously,
Currently,
if
we
you-
only
if
have
you
cameras
can't- if
on
you
our
can't
special
answer
education.
that,
No,
then
I'm good, I'm good. I'll make sure that we're clear.
Yeah.
Currently, we only have cameras on our special education buses. That's the only ones that have cameras, or the vans.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have cameras on our gen ed buses. That is something we're looking at changing. Is that a question? I heard something. That's correct, isn't it? Yeah, that's what I thought.
And is this RFP just for Gen Ed?
This is
To
for all,
clarify.
both.
This is for everything,
Yep.
okay.
So, when we need access to those cameras, currently, right now, we have to, it's a physical chip that's in a machine. So they have them on the buses, we have to request, and they will get that information to us. If we look at a different type of camera server or a different vendor, we'll have to reevaluate that as we're looking ahead. Yeah.
All right.
And there again, we want to make sure that we're transmitting any of that information very securely.
Yep.
So it's
Understandable.
going to be we'll have to make sure on the system how we do it. Yeah.
And it probably goes back to the same thing you were just talking about.
Yeah.
Got it. Appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Anyone, Director Atkinson?
Yeah, I was hoping to get a high-level overview of what the differences are between our current bus contract and things that you're looking to enhance, and with this new RFP, as well as how we can optimize our resources, because we all know the challenges that we've had with the increase in transportation costs. So as I read through this, I knew about the cameras, so I was aware of that. The GPS, I believe, is another thing that we currently manage. I don't have a full understanding of that. So if you could give a high-level overview of the differences of how you're looking to optimize resources with this new RFP versus our current contract, I think it'd be helpful for our community to understand that.
The current contract is very different from what we've had previously with the bus company. There's several things in there, some of the things that are the same. The management of the bus company. There was one of the questions that had popped up over the weekend about the types of managers that are at the bus company. All of those things align currently with what they have. I don't think there was even off by one position. There can have multiple people doing one thing occasionally, but I think it's all exactly the same, correct? Yeah. As we're looking at stuff like GPS, we've got GPS currently on all vehicles. It is something, it's a service that we have access to for all of that stuff. So the bus company has that, we have access to, a very limited number of people have access to that, but it is something that we have access to constantly. As we're looking at other changes in the RFP, a couple of the things that we were looking at differently was having the ability to have services for special education separate from services for general education. It's not that we wouldn't accept one company doing it all, but we wanted to see if there was somebody out there that could do it differently for us. One of the communications that if I'm fully intending that we're going to continue a relationship with our existing bus company. So one of the things I was talking with Kevin Behrens about specifically was looking at the ability to add small buses versus the vans. One of the reasons they use the vans more frequently is because it's easier to license those drivers for those. They don't need a CDL license. And we would need a CDL license for the smaller buses. So that's one of the things that we would be looking at, would be increasing those, so that would give us the potential to reduce the number of routes that are handled by the vans, which could potentially give us some savings on that side. So as we're looking at all of those different types of things, making sure we're optimizing the types of routes we're having, the services that we're needing. We've got a couple of students that we're picking up that are a very long ways away, and it doesn't make any sense to have a big van to do that. So, I mean, a big bus. So having a van to do that really does help us out a lot. So those are definitely things that we're going to continue to look at that we had from the previous contract that we'll be doing in the new one. And then, like I mentioned before, all the things that we're asking in the RFP are asks. When we get down to the negotiating side, Director Olsted wanted to ask, but she did not. Do we have other interest in there? And I don't know. There may be
Read my mind.
no other interest, but there may be, you started to say it, and I know exactly what you're getting at. There may be no other interest. It may just be us with our current provider. And if that's the case, then we will negotiate the best we can with our current provider and try and find a solution that works good. There may be lots of interest. I honestly don't know. I won't know until we get down to the day where people are supposed to propose it for us. But all of these asks that we've got in there, we'll negotiate all of those things with whoever comes forward with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just had a couple
Dr.
more.
Mason.
Thank you for answering the one. I was wondering on, I know on section 1, it references charter school, and I had brought this up. I didn't know if we needed to strike that language because we do not supply charter school transportation, right? Just private.
If I may.
We do for Aspen.
I don't think that.
If I may, I researched that, and MDE does require that by March 15th, March 1st, they must tell the district that they reside in, the charter, whether or not they intend to do transportation on their own or through the school district.
Got it, but we
So
don't
because
currently, right?
Currently, that is not ours, but that is an annual determination. So
Got
we
it.
need to keep it in.
Okay.
But I think it has been in the past. In the past, because full disclosure, my kids went to Aspen for a while, and there was a lot of conversation about the busing and the schedule, and they ended up finally getting onto the Prior Lake Savage bus system, which was way better than what they had in the past. But yeah, so you're saying now we don't currently provide them busing?
They're not under our contract.
Oh, they're not under our contract, I see.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Sorry, I didn't mean
that-
to-
that
They
got
Your
changed
question, I just
on an
happened to
annual
know.
basis.
Yeah, but they distinguish, yeah, okay, I knew the parents did, okay. That makes sense. And then my second question was around, under that section for the personnel drivers, and I think it's point C. I guess, the safety and security of our students, it's, like under, yeah, 15.
15C, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess, always a concern, safety of our students. So is there stronger language we could maybe put in there or just reference the background companies we use or that they should be using to follow our hiring policies? And like just stating explicitly, like, no, no traffic violations or things like that?
So
I don't know.
there's
It
a
feels-
really hard fine line that we have to worry about with a contractor.
Okay.
So as our own employees, we can have much more stringent requirements. We can list them up, blah, 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 blah. We
Right.
can negotiate different types of things with them, but we can't, there are certain things we can't require of them to do. Having a background check is definitely one of those things because they have to pass that.
I don't even think it explicitly states a background check, right? So
Yeah,
that's
it
why-
does. And that's something that
Just
was
says
carried
criminal
forward from
records
before.
and, I don't know, I felt like the language was a little bit weak. And I guess that is my concern, like, because we're using a contractor, how do we make sure that they are running their employees through proper background checks and
Yeah,
screenings and,
the background check process is pretty streamlined through a lot of the companies now. What one is going to catch, most will catch, if not all. So I'm less concerned about the background check side of things. If they're performing a background check and we can talk to them about, who they're using for that type of stuff, that's definitely something that we can work with the company about doing.
okay. Or maybe in the contract.
Yeah, and also there is state law that governs school bus transportation providers and the types of inquiries that they must complete. I don't know the statute off the top of my head, but there is a Minnesota statute just for that case. And I know one of them talked about if you are in Minnesota less than a certain amount of time, you might be subject to a different level of background check if you're like less than 5 years or something like that.
Okay.
So there's guidance by state and federal law, and then obviously anything with our district policy needs to be in alignment with whomever is transporting our kids.
Okay, great, thank you, I wanted to check that. And is there any additional requirements that we would have for our special education transportation?
If I
Drivers?
may, on the RFP, it is typical that you would use the language like you see here because using state and federal law and district policy is broad enough then that should there be changes, it's
It
understood.
applies.
Right,
You just have to
under
follow whatever
wrapping.
changes. So
Okay.
with regard to special education versus general education, there can be changes and differences, right? So it's a matter of just having these three things pointed out, state, federal, and district policy. Whatever those read then is what must be followed.
Yep, okay, perfect.
Anyone else? Okay, hearing no more discussion, I will start the roll call vote on this transportation RFP. We will start with you, Director Smith.
Aye.
Director France?
Aye.
Director Olsted?
Aye.
Director Mason?
Aye.
Director Johnson?
Aye.
Director Atkinson?
Aye.
And I am an aye, so that passes 7-0. Okay. Next up will be the loading dock RFP, and I will entertain a motion and a second for that.
So made.
By Director France, and a second by Director Olstad. And now I'll open it up for discussion. Director Powers, do you have anything to share on that?
No, this was pretty straightforward. We have the design from the civil engineering firm now, so we've got firm plans, which is one of the things that I need to make sure we can get this done and that everyone's bidding apples to apples.
Very good. Any questions?
Yeah,
Dr. Mason?
just a question around the timeline. So it referenced a pre-bid walkthrough on January 26th, and then,
That one
Did
also
that
had to
already-
be revised. I
okay,
apologize.
I
So
didn't know if that happened or if it,
I ended up hurting myself before the last
I know-
meeting.
I
so
know we
it
pushed
pushed
everything, so-
everything out a little bit.
okay, yeah, there is that date reference there. I just wondered if that already happened. I also just felt generally like this RFP timeline is very tight.
Yeah.
Are we going to get enough people to bid in 3 days?
This one, I've talked to a few contractors already, and
So they know
we've
it's
got
coming.
interest out there. And we'll be reaching out to our normal contractors.
Okay.
We've got a couple of them that I've used already for a couple of other projects, and they're excited about the chance.
Okay, 3 days felt like it was fast, but.
Yeah,
The one in the board book that's been in here most of the week says February 13th pre-bid walkthrough, not January 26th. That was in the,
yeah, that was the
Yeah.
changeover from the last
Right.
board meeting.
Yeah,
We're gonna
from
have.
the
Yeah.
study session.
So yes, I did update the timeline on all of that.
The online draft.
Yeah,
got it.
just in the RFP, it does say the pre-bid walkthrough was on January 26th.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how
there's
they're-
there
those
should be an
timelines aren't
updated one for the
consistent.
current board book.
Okay.
Yep.
How many vendors do you expect to bid this project with?
There are 4 already that are interested, if they all put in for it. My hope is at least 3. That'll give us some comparison between them, but I know for sure, yeah, there are people that are calling me and asking me about it.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll go with the roll call vote. We'll start with you, Director Smith.
Sorry, point of
Oh,
order.
sorry.
Can we amend the motion to state we're gonna update the pre-bid walkthrough date on the RFP and accept that version?
it is in the.
In the current board
It's
book?
been
It's
in
not,
there.
no.
No, I'm looking at it right now. It
I
says
am
February
also,
13th.
so if you go to the top, right here. It's the top sentence.
Page 3.
Yeah. There's not a page number on here, sorry.
Yeah, so within the actual RFP.
In the
Oh, in the
RFP.
pre-bid. in
I'll
the
double
start-
check to
yeah,
make sure that's correct. Thank you.
That's the language, yeah, but in the actual timeline, it's already
Right,
fixed,
yeah,
so.
but in the RFP, it
Yeah.
needs to be updated. So
Nope.
do we
Thank you for that.
amend the motion to, with that date updated? I'm not sure what the new date is.
Okay, so we are going to amend the motion to accepting, or to, I don't even know how to do the words on that.
Make sure the date is correct in the
Make su-
RFP.
We're gonna amend the motion to make sure that the date in the RFP is corrected.
Sounds good.
So do we need to do a first, a motion and a second for the amended
Yes.
motion? Okay. Can I get a first and a second on the amended? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. And now we will take a roll call vote. Director Smith, I'll start with you.
Aye.
Director France?
Aye.
Director Olsted?
Aye.
Director Mason?
Aye.
Director Johnson?
Aye.
Director Atkinson?
Aye for the amendment to revise the dates.
Thank you.
And now we're going to vote on
And I'm an aye.
now we're going to vote on the actual RFP.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
we're getting there.
all right, we'll start with you.
Nay.
Okay. And Director Johnson?
Aye.
Director Mason?
Aye, with the amendment.
Director Olsted?
Aye.
Director France?
Aye.
And Director Smith? And I am an aye, so that passes 6-1. All right. Let's move on to the next, okay, now we have our annual resolution directing the administration to make recommendations for reductions in programs and positions and reasons therefore. Directors Cothern and Ryder will be presenting, but first, can I get a motion and a second? By Director Olsted. Second?
Second.
By Director Johnson. All right, directors.
Good evening, thanks, Chair Bullion and Directors. As Chair Bullion stated, this is an annual resolution that the board votes on, and it's about directing the administration, as she said, to make recommendations for reductions in programs and positions, and reasons therefore.
We'll open it up for any discussion or questions. Director Mason?
Full of questions today. I was wondering in the, I don't know how to, like, third, whereas a determination must be made as to which, it just says teachers' contracts. Would we consider updating that to staff contracts, because that may extend beyond just a teacher's contract? So that would be one suggestion. And then I think at the end of the paragraph of curtailment of programs, discontinuance of positions, and curtailments of positions as per the board fund balance policy, I would propose adding "and board budget priorities," so that we just state that we're aligning to the budget priorities we set. So I would like to make an amendment to this resolution to make those two changes.
We should get the, how do we do that? To get the what?
Amend it to say staff instead of teachers, as well as add "and board budget priorities" to the end of that paragraph.
Okay, is there you're making a motion to do that?
Yes.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, so now that we have a motion and a second, is there, on that, do I have to approve? Do we have?
Vote on that motion.
Motion, discussion. Okay, is there any discussion on that? Thank you guys for helping me.
Director Cothern, this is a language we've always had simply because the administration makes changes to classes, schedules. Almost all of these affect teachers. Is there any impact on just changing it to staff? Or do you prefer teachers, since this is primarily those programs that affect the teachers' contracts?
I wouldn't see any impact on changing it to staff.
Just generic. It
I would
wouldn't-
support that as well.
Okay, so given that information, do I first need to take a vote on the amendment?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll start with you, Director Atkinson.
Aye.
Director Johnson?
Aye.
Director Mason?
Aye.
Director Olsted?
Aye.
I will say aye. Director France?
Aye.
Director Smith? And that passes 7-0. Do I have to vote again on that? Okay, now we are going to vote. Is there any other discussion, first of all? Okay, now I will take a vote on,
Take a motion and a second on the amended.
I'll take a motion and a second on the amended
So made.
by Director Mason.
Second.
And Director Atkinson. Any further discussion? Okay, we're going to go roll call vote. Director Atkinson?
Aye.
Director Johnson?
Aye.
Director Mason?
Aye.
Director Olsted?
Nay.
Director Mason isn't, okay, or Olsted, sorry. Director France?
Aye.
Director Smith? And I am an aye, so that passes 6-1. All right, moving on to our Prior Lake Savage Area Schools Board Handbook. I just want to thank the board for all the time and effort made in making this handbook come to life. The work started for us this past October, and tonight we're going to take action. I think it's something that'll far outlive our time on the board, and I trust that it'll be a useful tool serving board members now and into the future. I want to do a special thanks to Director Johnson for all your time and effort in researching and compiling board member input through this process. So before I open it up for discussion, can I get a motion and a second to approve the handbook?
So made.
Director Johnson,
Second.
second by Director Mason, and then I will open it up for any discussion.
I don't have discussion, but I just want to put out a special thanks to, as I'm going to quote Dr. Thomas here, the boss. Yeah. For all the work that she did on this, which was a tremendous amount. And not only that, all the work that she put in with all of our 200 policies and the handbook overall. It was a tremendous help to me, and I know to you as well. It was more than what I could ever say thank you for. And I was gonna say that whether you retired or not, so.
And that is so true. I was trying to abide by the rules of the boss and not highlight her. But yes, Martha, the amount of time and effort you put in, thank you, is not enough.
Thank you.
So other discussion or questions? Director Olsted?
Yes, hi. I third that for Martha as well. A couple of things on page 4. I didn't know if we wanted to amend La Ola del Lago at Westwood. It pains me to delete that school, but I know that was going to be the new name, so I didn't know, and I know it hasn't happened yet, so maybe it's
Yeah.
preliminary, but I just wanted to make that note.
Yep.
That
We'll reflect any
that is-
changes.
Yeah. And then as well as, and trust me, I'm not in a hurry there. I just wanted to call that out. Pardon me with the page turns here.
Director Olsted, if I can make a comment on just that part, we can update the book every year, and it does authorize
Yeah.
Martha to update that with any changes.
Yes.
For that, as without coming to the board.
Yep, absolutely. We're just calling it out. At page 9, Mr. Marshall's name has an extra C there.
Can you say that again?
Just page 9, under the principals and department leaders. Mr. Marshall's name has an extra C. Couple of page turns here. I had another one. You don't realize how long this thing is until you're paging through it. I had one more thing. Under the section, page 27, communication with media, we had a discussion about updating that district protocol, and there's nothing in here. And so in the space here, so I just want to make sure that we have in there that we work with the board chair and the director of communications. I can't remember the exact language that we talked about, but I just wanted to call that out. And I know you have it. I just wanted to make sure that it was put in the final version. And then I think that is it. Thank you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We have communication with the media and we have communication on social media. But when we're talking about the media, we had that discussion about working with the director of communication and when we're making statements, like the board chair making statements and things like that. So it just needs to be put there as well.
And are we good with the way it's listed in the below?
Yes,
Up there?
but I think we do need to add something about when the board chair potentially makes a statement on behalf of the board. We talked about that. And just reviewing it.
You have that language?
And I do in my other packet too, but I know you have that.
I remember that conversation. There was even like given within a reasonable time frame, the board is to get back
Correct.
to align on a
Yeah.
message, so.
Because media's under deadlines.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
We can,
I am putting that in an email.
Great.
To
Thank you so much.
anything else?
And it looks really nice, Martha. Thank you.
Beautiful. Any other comments or questions on the handbook? So now we have to make an amendment, right? Or can we just,
I'm okay as long as those changes get
Those
made.
changes get made?
Personally, I'm okay with
We
it
good?
because it's fairly minor.
Thank you.
I don't need to
I'll
make
save us all
another
the
motion.
pain of me trying to amend a motion. Thank you. We'll start with the roll call vote with you, Director Atkinson.
Aye.
Director Johnson.
Aye.
Director Mason.
Aye.
Director Olsted.
Aye.
Director France.
Nay.
And Director Smith.
Aye.
And I am an aye, so that passes 6-1. Okay. We have no policy at this time, and administrative reports. Administrative reports?
Well, I just want to echo, thank you, Chair Boyan. I just want to echo what's happened so far with Martha, just in my short time of being here. Every district has a Martha, and this district has an amazing Martha. And so just in my short period of time here, she has been a valuable, valuable resource for me. It's kind of funny that she usually stops into my office on these days and tells me, don't forget to say something about this person retiring. And lo and behold, she did not stop into my office to remind me to say something about this person retiring today. So she's not going to get away with it. So I just want to personally thank her for all the time and effort that she's donated to me these last few months since I've been here. So thank you, Martha.
That's exactly what I was going to say for my administrative report. One extra layer is I appreciate how clear Martha is. I'm not confused about what she's communicating to me ever, and that helps me be more effective in nearly all of my interactions in the system except for with the HR director.
Thank you, Martha.
Oh, thank you, Martha. All right. We will move on to our early learning report, and we get to hear from Assistant Director of Early Learning, Gina Miller.
All right, I have to get this tech going, and I've not used this. Don't know how to get my thing to pull up.
Martha's gonna come.
Thanks, Martha. Thanks you again, Martha.
So you have to do the, right here. This, you do the escape twice.
This screen. Let's turn it on.
So it should be right there.
Here we go. All right, we got it up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair Bullion, directors, and Dr. Thomas. I have the privilege of being up here to speak for a large group of people and to share with you about our early learning. And our theme is Learning Begins Here, so I'm super excited to share this with you. A little bit about me. My 3 kids grew up here. They all graduated from Prior Lake High School. I have over 30 years of experience as a teacher. Let's not think about that. I have been a special educator, a general educator. I've worked at the district level, Title I, MTSS, ADSIS, learning supports, kind of a lot of different things. I've been an early learning leader, and I was most recently an elementary principal. Super excited to be here in Prior Lake, in my home, doing this work. So I got to work with Christy and Liz in our communications department to put together a new logo that kind of encompasses who we are in early learning, to make sure it's really clear to our community and to everyone about who we are, because sometimes you interact with us with just a portion of it, and to see it all together I thought was really important. So I'm going to go through these a little bit. Our early childhood family education, this is where we partner with families. This is where we do that really critical work. And many of our families start in early learning and are friends forever. Maybe some of you have had that experience. It's led by a licensed parent educator and a licensed early childhood teacher. Last year, we impacted 321 children were enrolled in our early learning, our ECFE programming. So far this year, we have 80 classes offered this year, 6 one-time workshops, and 3 community partnerships have been built this year. So we've had a really exciting year so far. I'm including some statutes because everything we do in early learning in each of those buckets is guided by a whole lot of statutes. I may have missed one or two. So I just want to put that out there if you find one. I did my best to make sure I had included the ones that I'm super aware of, but it drives how we provide our service, how we're funded, what we can do with it, what we can't do, and what's the goals. So when I come to our next chunk of service, it's our early childhood special ed. And sometimes that's how our families get to meet us. We serve students from birth all the way till they go to kindergarten. So in that early intervention, that birth through age 3, that's called Part C, and we really coach families. We're going into the home, into those natural environments, and really working with families around a family service plan. Then when children age into age 3 to 5, then we're creating a typical individual education plan, an IEP that we're most used to, and we meet those child's unique needs, sometimes in community partnerships, sometimes they're in a community childcare, and sometimes they come in to Edgewood for Circle of Friends preschools. Last year, in our Birth to 3 program, we had 50 students and 188 referrals. A huge part of our job is child find, and it's extra big in early learning. This year, we've had 59 kids so far. That was the end of January in our Birth to 3, and 136 referrals. 27 of them alone were the month of January. So it's been very busy. The statutes for early childhood special ed could go on forever because it's all encompassing special ed. I just highlighted a few of them. Our birth to age 3, our Part B, and our child find statute, because that's such a big work of what we do in early learning. And we have different caseload rules based on birth to 3 or 3 to 5. So I added that in there as well. Early childhood screening. This is where Chair Bullion, when I did my practice one, saw there's a statute that specifically calls out the role of the school board. So I'll show you that on the next page. Last year, we did 555 children were screened. So this is a welcoming health and development check for children starting at age 3. And it's supposed to be done before they hit kindergarten. So we're talking about their growth, their learning, their social emotional skills, and the goal of that is to help parents, connect parents to resources to support their child, whether their child's on track to, age-wise, or if their child might need some additional support. Our goal is both of those. So this year, so far, we've screened 340 children, and we've expanded into 2 child cares. We've gone into child cares to do a couple screenings. So here's those state statutes. And the last one is the school board responsibilities. Here's our big one, our Circle of Friends preschool and pre-kindergarten. So we're a 4-star parent-aware rated preschool. On our next slide, I have how we're rated and how we prove that to the state. And so we have preschool for 3s, pre-kindergarten for 4s. It's play-based, whole child. Our goal is really to use our licensed teachers to develop children's love of learning. We want them to love learning, build some social emotional skills, and get ready for lifelong success in school. Last year, we had 331 students in our Circle of Friends preschools. This year, so far, it changes lots. We have 313 children, of 60 of whom are at our Jeffers Pond nature-based program. Here's some of those statutes. There's more there. We are lucky enough to have some voluntary pre-kindergarten seats, so that's called out there too. A lot of our preschool is guided by the statutes around age and time and all of those things that we have to take into consideration in order to use them efficiently. So in doing that, we really wanted to align with our age placement with Minnesota state statutes and the MDE guidance around who is ready for kindergarten. So what we've done is we've really defined preschool for children who are age 3 by September 1 and pre-kindergarten for children who are 4 by September 1. And kindergarten readiness is defined by the state as children who are age 5 by September 1. They don't need to know anything. And the state's been talking about that since I was a leader in early learning way back when. So this is not new information, but it's really important for us to think about who is ready for kindergarten. You have to be 5. That's it. You don't have to know anything else. So this coming fall, registration opens on Tuesday. So we're very excited about this. This fall, we'll have full 5 days a week programming for nature at our Jeffers Pond location. We're a leader in nature-based education for preschool. Back when I was a director in a different program, I called Jeffers Pond to do some training with my teachers. So it's kind of fun to now be working with that team. And we will have a section at Edgewood as well. And then we have half-day 5 days a week, morning or afternoon for 4-year-olds. And in our preschool, it's half-day 3 days a week or 2 days a week for those little 3-year-olds. In addition, we've had a class called Little Lakers. It's kind of confusing because we have a Little Lakers Montessori in town. So we're changing the name to Step Into Preschool. And this is for those kiddos who turn 3 September 2nd through December 31st. They're not quite old enough for 3-year-old preschool, but mom and dad would really like to have something and get them started. So that's what this is. It's a little bit of a shortened day, and we're combining parent education with that. The future, it's super exciting in early learning. So we are expanding our outreach into community spaces. We have classes at the library, at Village Commons, and we have desire to do a lot more. We want to reduce barriers to access. We want to make sure we focus on how do we make sure families and children get connected with us. And we want to meet families where they are. If they're in apartment buildings, if they're in community centers, we want to meet them there and invite them into this space. One of the places we're going to screen is a space where a bunch of families feel really comfortable, and we want to go there to screen. Because if we can start to develop that relationship, we can maybe get them into preschool. And then we want to strengthen that early learning to elementary transition. I'm fortunate enough to be able to work with all of the elementary principals, and it's been amazing. So, summary. In the 24-25 school year, our early learning team served more than 1,200 students in the Prior Lake Savage community. We're not just a single program. It's actually really complex, and we're the front door for Prior Lake Savage area schools. It's where relationships start, inclusion starts, where children and families are connected. Learning begins here, and it begins in early learning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gina.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Gina?
No, I had the pleasure of serving on the committee, and I just have to say your staff does an amazing job, and you have a really great program, so thank you.
Thank you. I'm very proud to represent them tonight.
I love that it's the front door. It's a good front door
Yep.
to our district. Yeah.
Pretty amazing, unique place.
Yeah, it is.
I've heard nonstop wonderful things about it. I've seen it in action over the years, and it's grown, and it's become more and more mature and more well-known, and thanks to the work that you and your staff have done.
Thank you. I'll share that with them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Director Smith, sorry. My apologies.
No, I just wanted to comment as a parent who's gone through CCFE and then basically all of the pillars that you just walked through. It was an incredible difference that it made in the life of my children and mine and my wife's. So still a lot of love for all of the folks over there at Edgewood. Happy to be serving as the district member for the Edgewood building, and I can't stress enough as somebody who's gone through each one of these different programs how impactful it is on the lives of the children and the parents. So thank you for everything and your staff.
You're welcome. I've told my staff many times since joining them in July that they're a unicorn group of people, and we're super lucky that they're all here together.
And it feels like yesterday. We're Circle of Friends graduates too in our family, and it feels like it literally just happened. But it's such a testament because, it's everybody there is just wonderful.
Yeah,
So,
warm and loving, everybody's just super student-centered. Yeah, privileged to work with them.
Yes.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
So much. All right, next up is board reports. We will go around. Does anyone have any board reports? Oh, sorry. Student report, OB. Please give us your student report.
I just wanted to first give a shout out to Martha. You've made this, you've made the transition of being the student rep really easy for me, so I appreciate you for that. And then even when I go out to basketball or hockey games and I see you helping out with all the tickets, that just shows how much of an impact you have on this community. And so we really thank you for all you do and appreciate all your efforts. For student council, we had the opportunity to collaborate with our Unified Club this past week. We held a dance for kids with special needs, and so that was really fun. I know all the student council had plenty of fun. There was food, music, and it was really just a great event overall. And coming up on this Wednesday, we actually have our winter carnival for elementary and middle school students, and all those proceeds go to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and so we're very excited for that. We also have our dodgeball and girls basketball tournaments coming up, and we have our Winterfest coming up on the 24th, where there'll be a hockey tournament, live music, and sledding. And so I invite all you guys to come out to our events if you have the time. You know, we've been working really hard this past few months, and so it would mean a lot to us if you could come and show your support. For sports, our girls hockey team is doing really well. They just beat Chaska and are heading to the section semifinals, so that's huge. And then boys hockey plays Eastview this Thursday for senior night at Dakota Ice Rink. Girls basketball, they're playing away the next 3 games, hoping to finish the season strong. And our boys basketball team is actually the opposite. They'll be playing at home the next 3 games, and they're actually ranked 4th in the class 4A right now, so big ups to them. We had wrestling sections last Friday. They had JV nationals, and so really good to see those JV guys compete and finish the season strong. And then they also have meet at Rosemount this Friday, so go and support them, and that'll be huge. Dance team finished this past Saturday, scoring as one of the top point scorers in the state. And then also we have 14 athletes sign their national letter of intent this past Wednesday during Laker time. And so it's going to be huge for those athletes to play college sports, and we're excited to see where they end up in their collegiate careers. Finally, wind ensembles playing at the high school right now for their midwinter convention concert. Our National Honor Society had a blood drive this past Friday, and our speech team actually held a meet at the high school on Saturday. So there's a lot of things going on at the high school. You know, usually February is a month where, you know, it gets dark early, it's cold, you know, people don't really want to do things, but, you know, we're doing our best as Lakers to be busy, stay active, and just try and enjoy our high school experiences and, you know, just make an impact on our community.
Thank you so much. Director Atkinson.
On this end of the table, if that's okay?
Please.
First question, anything going on for Valentine's Day? I know you guys did some fun things last year. Not to put you on the spot, but.
Yeah, so usually we do roses, and so
Okay.
this year we're going to be doing like a hot cocoa cart, and then
Oh,
also
nice.
candy canes during lunch. Yeah.
Wonderful. I think everybody can use a little kindness in their world today, so
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to attending my first policy meeting this Thursday at 7 a.m., so looking forward to that. I can't stop without saying thank you to Martha. I also have to reiterate, it's not only has it been a pleasure working with you here in the last 3+ years on the board, but it's just such a joy to see you out at the student events, and I really hope that we'll still be able to see you working out at the events within our community. So sincere thank you from the bottom of my heart. You've been a pleasure to work with. And then last but not least, as our administration is talking about different changes to programming and budget cuts, as a board, I'm looking forward to learning more about these changes and how they really align with our board budget priorities that we put together. I believe it was last December we voted on our board budget priorities. So looking forward to learning more about how admin's proposals align to not only to our strategic plan, but also to our board budget policies. So thank you.
Director Johnson?
Yes, just one or two things. So I want to give a special shout out to our speech team this last Saturday. Not that you didn't do a great job, by the way. But they hosted over 800 students on Saturday with 150 coaches and judges. So it was a huge thing. So congrats on hosting and having everybody here. So that was a great job. State wrestling tournament is coming up in a few weeks, so that'll be great. And then finally, we've got the polar plunge coming up. Are you doing that?
I am.
That's great. All right. And there's a couple other ones of us that are doing it. All right. If anybody else wants to join, I'm sure we would love to see some more. I think Dr. Anderson is gonna jump in the cold.
I've done it twice before.
There you go.
I'm really working on positively thinking about doing it.
That's right. That's right. So Director Mason and I will be
Jumping in the lake.
plunging for a cause or whatever
Yeah.
it is. Freezing for a reason. Thank you. There it is. Yep. And I'm doing it twice. So yay me.
And twice in one day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll be
That's
thinking
it.
about you,
I
Director
agree.
Johnson. And Director Mason, I hear.
Yes, no, I appreciate you bringing that up. I would just encourage the community, if you haven't supported a team, there's plenty out there, I think, within our schools and administrators and teachers, so encourage that. It all supports our great, amazing, unified program. Nothing really for me. Other Finance Committee is tomorrow morning, so the timing of that, and I wasn't going to say thank you to Martha because I was told not to, but thank you, Martha. I truly appreciate all the help that you've given us, just everything from onboarding and all the assistance over the last year, so thank you very much.
Yeah, I got my new speech merch, so I'm wearing it tonight. So congrats to the speech team. That was pretty cool to volunteer that day too. So that was really neat. Our high school was just full of people and full of kids, and they were dressed so nice and they were just adorbs. So congratulations to them. And I wanted to pull Martha's retirement off the consent agenda so I could vote no. But I don't think she would have liked that either. So as everyone has said, Martha, it goes without saying. But I'm going to do it anyway. Thank you for everything. TLAC, we met last week. I won't steal everything because Director Franz and I sit on that, but I will touch on CAPTE. It was really interesting to learn about that, and I know we're going to learn about it in our study session. And that had some really good discussion and questions. So I'm really looking forward to actually hearing a lot of that again because it's fascinating to me. So thank you for that. Southwest Metro, I have had this on the desk for a couple of weeks now because I wanted to make sure I showed it off. We heard from the Waconia Transitions team at our last board meeting. And these are students who made these wonderful ornaments that they sold. And then we got some as board members as a nice little treat. And I just thought they were beautiful. And we learned all about their program, which was great, but it was in the context of the conversation of IEPs and how the Southwest Metro locations are starting to do this where they're student-led. And I thought that was really, really interesting. It's still a group decision, a team decision, but it really, the students, they really get a say. And these are older students. But they get a say, and some made PowerPoint presentations and really came to their IEP meeting like full of confidence, which was honestly the whole point. But I just thought it was a really great presentation on how they're doing things, and that was Waconia as well. But I wanted to share that, and we had our organizational meeting and voted in a couple of new officers and a couple of returning officers, so that was January, so that's it for me, thanks.
France?
Yes, so as usual, we'll start off with thanking the boss, Martha. And, you know, I met Martha almost 12 years ago when I volunteered to be part of the original technology committee. I've seen her at the games, seen her at the events. I can't say enough. I don't know what we're going to do without the anchor. I know you also know where all the bodies are buried, so please leave clues to whoever tries to help you, help in that position, because I don't think they're ever going to be able to live up to everything that you've made it, as well as just, everyone depends on you. I've seen you at every teacher retirement event also. You've been the person that organized that made sure the board was on track over the years, hit us over the head when we needed it, and appreciate it. It's definitely, it's definitely going to be a loss. On other notes, I went to the Jeffers Pond pre-wax museum event where the kids came up with environmental ideas and changes to make their school better. And what was so exciting about that was that they actually did it in conjunction with kids that were kindergartners. So as the fifth graders came up with their projects, they had to make sure that those projects were going to be continued by the younger generation, and that they were signed up and on board. And it was an incredible show of teamwork. And some of those ideas were truly amazing. And I assume that when they go through their wax museum, I'm not sure if it's already happened and they earn money, that one of those projects is something that's going to live on. And hopefully that whole idea of what they did this year will also live on, because it was incredible. The curriculum committee, we had a brief update on A&I, a brief update on the READ Act, and an update on the professional development committee, which I did attend last week, and that was an amazing experience, and I learned a lot. And I loved the way the ideas and everything and how it was organized kind of took into consideration everything from kindergarten through high school. And it was a very good experience, so thank you for letting me be part of that. The other thing, like we're going to talk about, is CAPTE, and then MinCaps. MinCaps had their end-of-year open house, their end-of-year presentations on their business projects. I sponsored a business project again this year, and all I can say is that program is amazing. It just is amazing. The students, when you first start off with any of the business projects over the years, they start off kind of not knowing what they're kind of doing and following an outline, and by the end of it, they've learned to research, they've become champions for their own ideas, their presentation skills grew from, basic high school to better presentation skills than what I see in the business world. So hats off to the teachers, the organization, the structure, and most particularly the students who put in the work. So that was pretty exciting, and we're on to Shark Tank. I have jumped multiple years in a row. I have no intention of doing it this year, but I am supporting, and I hope everyone finds a team, be it a teacher, team, a local community, or whatever, to support the Polar Plunge.
Good. Director Smith.
Yes, I will briefly thank Martha because I'm her and I guess I don't know any better. So I'm just going to thank Martha for everything, and especially troubleshooting tonight because I had a little bit of difficulty joining, as it was clear. So Martha, thank you for everything. Yes, my first supposed to be finance committee was tomorrow. I'm in Florida, so unfortunately I will not be able to attend, but I'm looking forward to following up and getting what I can, and maybe following up with Director Mason just to kind of again get caught up on anything that is discussed there and that I miss. Superintendent Thomas mentioned it, but I was able to attend the Finance Town Hall last week. Was really encouraged by the turnout and the number of people there. There were I even think there weren't enough tables for everybody. So as Dr. Thomas said, please RSVP just so that there is an idea of how many people are gonna be there so they can plan accordingly, but, it's a good problem to have, right? More people showing up and more people having interest is always gonna be a good thing, and I was, really impressed with the conversation and, again, really encouraged to see so many people, interested in what's going on in our schools and wanting to give their feedback. So, I have toured a couple of schools, as I mentioned. Edgewood is one of my district assigned buildings. I'm not gonna be able to get there until later this month. I did go out to my other building, La Ola del Lago. I also, trying to rotate as well, so I also visited, Red Tail Ridge, and I was able to visit, Glendale, I think last week as well. So, just a couple of things that I've observed on some of those visits, just because it is something that we've talked about, and again, it's been kind of talked about tonight when it comes to, our enrollment and our staffing levels and, authorizing the district to make those decisions. It seems as I have toured schools and as I've talked to administrators and as I've talked to specialists and folks there, what really seems to be from my eye and operations standpoint, I mean, it's more of a fragmented service delivery. It's not so much the staffing itself. It's just we have specialists serving very small groups in short instructional blocks and then traveling to another building, and that costs time and transitions. So I just want to be really careful when we're talking about what we're seeing as needs, and again, these are just the things that I'm observing when I go into the schools, because again, it just, at La Ola del Lago, there was English language specialist that had 5 kids for 20 minutes, and then another 5 kids for another 20 minutes, and then had to go to Jeffers Pond, and it just seems really inefficient, and that's not to say anything about the specialist. She's doing everything she can, but it is a reality that our district deals with that is could be improved. So there's that piece that I just wanted to again bring up from those visits. Also, one of the things that was brought to my attention at Red Tail Ridge was they're really struggling with getting substitute paraprofessionals. So putting out a plug for that if there are folks that are interested in, I believe it's the Kelly Schools, I think is the substitute outfit that we use. But again, when they have paraprofessionals that are out, it sounds like the paraprofessional substitute is a really difficult thing for them to fill, and again, when those needs are not filled, it's going to affect the children that are there that day. So if there's anybody that is interested in that, you can contact Principal Yetzer for more information.
Very good. And I guess I will I'll add my board report with echoing all of the sentiments to Martha. Martha, there are not enough words to say thank you, and for you, I swear you work 24/7, 365, and you always say, but it's fun. I'm always like, Martha, you don't take a break, but it's fun, and you carry that spirit in your work, and it is going to be an enormous, I'm not going to say loss, I mean, because I know that you're going to be around. And I also want to just say a personal thank you just for the support you've given me throughout all the years and trying to step into this position as chair presiding. Your peace and understanding of all of the things board has helped me so much. And I want to say the best is yet to come, Martha. I can't wait for all the fun that you're going to have going forward. So Next, I will touch on the town halls. I also attended and was just thrilled by the turnout. So please, I encourage everyone to attend if able. One of the things that I really enjoyed was our table time at the town halls. We just having the community we had guided questions and openings for people to bring things up. And one of my encouragements was seeking information from the district, directly from the district. And an example that I shared as, even sitting on the board of education, the information from the district to me, which I'm part of all the time, by the time I'm communicating it out, it's already lost a little bit in translation. So I share that just to really encourage people to seek the information straight from the district. I think it is the way that we can all be on the same page, and I think it best serves. Next thing I wanted to share was that on the 29th of January, I attended the Community Ed Advisory Council meeting, and I always leave so encouraged from that committee. The Community Ed just does exceptional work in serving every age in our community, and so many fun and educational opportunities. I got to hear the dry run from Gina Miller on the Edgewood presentation, and so I'll skip that part, but saying that that Edgewood and all that it does is the front door to our district is been my experience. My family started with the ECFE offerings and have created lifelong friendships and relationships that have, it's what makes this community so special. So thank you for that. Dr. Thomas mentioned the AMSD legislative session preview that we attended last Friday, and we were able to stay after for a presentation on something that's called the Dignity Index. And I believe that it'll be introduced to all board members later.
There may be an opportunity.
There may be an opportunity for more information on that to come. But the Dignity Index is about easing divisions, preventing violence, and solving problems, offering practical ways for taking the tone of dialogue from contempt to dignity. And in a culture, our culture that not only sells contempt for profit, but also has, at least it was presented that there's an addiction to contempt. I believe this work is extremely important, and I think it just can serve all areas, everybody. So a statement that struck me on Friday was, winning fights and losing America. They said that we're all blaming the same enemy, and that is each other. I have a deep gratitude for the project, similar to work of Braver Angels. And while I might personally get it wrong at times, I commit to staying engaged in this work and doing my best to keep my focus on teamwork and what best serves our district students, staff, and families. So with that, future events, no school, grades E through 12, February 13th and February 16th. And then our next study session will be February 23rd here at the DSC at 6 p.m. And so I will now entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting and transition into a study session.
So made.
By Director France.
Second.
Second by Director Mason. And that will be a roll call vote with Director Smith, starting with you. Aye. Okay. And Director France?
Aye.
Director Olsted?
Aye.
Director Mason?
Aye.
Director Johnson?
Aye.
Director Atkinson?
Aye.
Aye. And we are adjourned, 7-0.
Take a break.
We'll take a break, and then how about, let's take a 5-minute break? We'll come back for a study session.